Good morning, world changers. This is Donna coming to you from Calgary, Alberta, and we have our special guest on, Lorna Rasmussen. I have known her for several years. We did a business together, and she has been very successful, and she loves to help moms because a lot of us need and want a change in our life. So I will turn it over to you, Lorna. If you can tell us about your childhood, what was it like?
Well, it was on the prairies of Alberta. I grew up in Lethbridge, Alberta, and it was just a regular childhood. There was nothing special about it. I think what I find interesting looking back from where I am now is that I never really knew anybody that was an entrepreneur. I never knew somebody with a business. And I'm trying to think of, I know there was an Avon lady who would come calling. But other than that, I had no introduction to business. So how I ended up in business is kind of a surprise to me. And I think what really happened was I got a passion for filmmaking. I ended up making films with a company called Film West, which became quite well known in that industry up in Edmonton, Alberta. Worked with a woman named Ann Wheeler, who has again been very acknowledged as one of the leaders in the film industry in Canada, and did that for almost 2 decades. And so I guess I was in business. I didn't think of it as being in business, but I was. And now looking back, I think, oh my gosh, had I known what I know then, what I know now, it would have been a much more successful venture. And I think that's something to raise with people. First of all, to go into business is not a scary thing. It can just happen more from your calling, what you're called to do, as opposed to what a way to make some money or whatever. If you really try to dig down into your heart and say, well, what is it that really makes me want to do this? And it could be something like earn a living. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Taking financial responsibility, adding to the family coffers and whatnot. Like, I think if my mother had ever been introduced as she was raising us to a direct sales network marketing company, she would have been phenomenal. Because she talked to everybody. She knew everybody in town and was just a very outgoing, gregarious person. So would have used her capabilities and her talents, and she could have been home with her children, which is now I don't know whether she wanted to be home with us, but she would have the option at the very least. So it's very interesting to me that when I look again at that trajectory, it was going from passion to passion. I eventually ended up wanting to leave the film industry, and I asked myself a question that we all at some point ask ourselves: what do I want to do when I grow up? And the answer was, of all the things I had done well in my previous profession in the film business, I thought that I was a very good interviewer. People would talk to me. And so I thought, I'm as good as Barbara Walters. I'm going to find something where they pay me to talk. Well, the first thing I thought was psychology. I've quickly got rid of that idea because I just didn't have the time to go back in the education and all that. Well, I stumbled upon something that was in its really early years, and that was coaching. It wasn't even called coaching at the time. And I just loved it. I loved the change I could make in people's lives. I loved the ability to hear people and be able to be the person who kind of saw the big picture for them, and then was their guide to making the changes and doing the things that they needed to do. So that's what I did for 4 years. I worked with a company called Success Motivation Institute. And then I realized that it was all on my shoulders. I was trading time for money. I was, and it was actually a death of a friend. I'm just doing a blog about it. A death of not a close friend, just a woman I knew. And I suddenly thought, what would happen if I couldn't work? If I was in incapacitated. I didn't think as far as going be dead, but if I was incapacitated. And that's when I began to be open to the idea of something that gave me leveraged residual income. And I'm now passionate about it. In fact, I was offered to run that company I used to work for all over North America. And I turned them down because I said, that's a job. I don't want a job. I want leveraged residual income. And for anybody that's listening that doesn't understand that concept, I'm sure they all do, or maybe they wouldn't be listening to you, but it is critical, and especially for women. We outlive our caregivers. We oftentimes will live 20 years beyond our spouse and may even outlive our children. And the result is, if we are not financially set up, which statistics tell us that at least 75% of us are not, then we're going to be in trouble in our later years. And so having a constant flow of income coming in can truly make a difference in your life. I mean, there's no question about it. And even if it's a small income, even if it's an income that's only a couple of $1,000s, and I will tell you that my sister, who was in the same business as we were in, she wasn't in for that long, maybe 10 years, but her income, her residual income from that matched her government pension.
Wow.
And she'd been in that job in the government for about the same amount of time. So, when people think, oh, it's just a little thingy, no, it could really be a big thing. And to have an extra $1,000 coming in, that's nothing. And when you're getting older, that's nothing to sneeze at. Mine's a little more than that. Mine when before COVID was in six figures. It's a little lower than that now. But here's the thing, Donna. It is knowing that you have a mechanism to control the income that's coming in, that you can change it. And so what I'm doing now, you're not asking me these questions, I'm just answering.
Well,
Interrupt me if you want to ask another question. No, so what I'm doing now, I was in a direct sales company with the same people for 28 years in two different companies. And the second company, which I still am getting money from, my residual income, that's how I live here in Costa Rica. But I want to spend the last part of my life, however long that is, and however long I feel like working, I want to spend it helping other women understand how to be successful in direct sales. And can I give you my two secrets?
please, I'd love them.
And they're not secrets. They're not secrets. They're processes. What happens for most people, and I don't know whether you shared that with me or I'm talking to so many people, I can't remember who said what. But for most people, when they get in and they even do a really good job, get up the compensation plan and start making a good living, when they look around at the concept of leveraged income, not so much residual, but leveraged income, which means building a team. Now, in many companies, you can just sell the product. You don't have to build a team. However, it means that if you can't work or choose not to work, then your income is probably going to be affected. My house burned down when I'd been in the business I was in for 7 years. My house burned down, and yet my income it was like I was on a salary. I stopped working for literally 2 years completely and another year kind of half time. But my income never went down because even though my house burned down, my associates continued working because they were working for themselves. They were working for their own reasons, not for me. So it can make a huge difference. And I think a lot of people would really love to build a team. First of all, it's a lot more fun to be in a business where you're in with other people.
Yes.
And then secondly, it's more lucrative. And thirdly, it gives you longevity in your income coming in. Here's the reason why most people are challenged by that concept. They are challenged because they don't know how to help the people that are on their team produce. And so I had to look back on myself and say, well, why was I so successful? And what I realized, a lot of that success came from my understanding how to coach people. And it's not like this is rocket science. There are some processes there that can help you coach people. And when you coach people, you are literally helping them to achieve their dreams and their goals. So that's one thing that I realized that people need help with. The second thing I realized that people needed help with is they need help with marketing themselves. And we all know that people are out on social media and they're doing all kinds of crazy things to try and get attention on social media. It's not always working. And the reason it's not working is sometimes, well, I'll tell you, the number one thing is we don't know who we're talking to. Like, for instance, if you are talking to a certain demographics, Facebook is a good example. Used to be for young people. Now it's for old people. Instagram is now for younger people, but it's got a broader audience. But if you're looking for if you're looking for professional people, you're more likely to find them on LinkedIn. So you need to know who you're looking for, and then you need to know where those people are hanging out, and then you need to know how to approach them. So those are the two areas that I'm working with, and I'll just tell you right now, I think it's a great offer. I am in a pilot program right now for a program that is ultimately going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars to participate in, and now it costs way less than that. And so if anybody's interested, please have them get in touch with me. And I just noticed my name is missing an N on the end.
Is it? Oh, sorry about that.
No, I don't know. I think that may have been me. So it's lornarasmussen.com. They can reach me there. But if they are interested in just exploring how I can help them, particularly with team building, because that was what I did almost exclusively in the company that I've been in for 24 years now. Yeah, it's how time flies when you're having a good time.
Yes, so for sure. Do you have, or did you have any training or university to do all these jobs?
No.
None.
No.
Wow.
And in fact, I had been at the University of Lethbridge, and I left because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And so when I started in the film business, I went back to the university, to their audiovisual department or something like that. And I said, what books can I read to learn how to make films? And it was so early in not that it was back in ancient history, but there just weren't courses, and there weren't even books to read. So I'm really a self-made woman.
That's awesome. You've done really well for yourself. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So what you mentioned two things, but you think there's other steps to become successful that people need?
There's a broader issue, and that issue is a decision to be successful. And what I mean by that is you decide to be successful, but you also decide that you're going to work until you are successful. So that combination of making a decision, and I think a lot of people, what they tend to do, we talk about putting a big toe in. I'll put my toe in and see I'll give it a try. I'll see if it works for me. I can guarantee you that's not going to work. It isn't. So if you instead say, I'm committed to this, and you can even give it a time frame. I'm committed to this for a year. I will give it a year, but in that year, I will give it my all. Now, that doesn't mean you have to work full time. It just means that in the time you have available, you will do the work. You will focus on the success that you have. So you do have to be somewhat careful about where you join and the people you join with. I tell people, take a little time there. Don't just sign on the dotted line. And I know that's not necessarily what people want to hear, but you want people, as somebody that's sponsoring people, you do not want people going through a revolving door. You want them coming in committed. And I would even ask them, how long are you committed for? why are you making this decision? So there's something that the sponsor can do as well to help people, because people don't know. They don't know that this is something that they should be talking to people about and asking them, are you committed? So once you're committed, then what's going to happen is that sponsor can say, but Donna, you said you were committed. How, what's changed? And what their why is. And as I said, the why should be more than a why. It should be a calling. So for me, for instance, I'm not in business, either in the company I was in or in my new coaching business. I'm not in business to make money. I'm not in business to become famous. I'm in business to empower women and help women become successful, to live their lives, to live their dreams, and to be and have how much and whoever they want to be. So that's why I'm in business, and that's a calling. It's not a wish. And that makes a big difference, making that decision and then making a commitment to stay in. There's lots of other things. Actually, I invite people to participate in my blog, to listen to my blog, because I think what I'm doing is I'm hearing the issues that people are expressing, and then I'm reflecting back on them. And I'm going to also be doing things like this, interviewing people to make sure that that it's not just my voice, it's other people's voices as well. But it's the things, it's the skills, the strategies, and the mindset that it takes to be successful in direct sales that I'm going to be focused on in my business.
I think the mindset over all these years has been the toughest and still is.
Yeah.
And I listen to stuff and do stuff, but it's still almost like you don't believe you deserve it or something.
So, yeah, and this is where what I'm doing in my business is I'm putting together masterminds, because I believe that, I can coach people. I can get on one-on-one with somebody, and that helps one person. But if I do it in the context of a mastermind, and by mastermind, I mean a group of no more than 8 to 10 women, and it's only women that I'm working with. What I'm seeing is that they don't even recognize when they are saying things that are detrimental to their thought processes. So they're not recognizing that that they're saying, and that what they say goes into their subconscious and comes out as a done deal. So what they're not recognizing is that they are the person most responsible for their success. And what being in a mastermind does is it helps people to hear other people's perspectives. It even helps to hear somebody else say exactly the kind of thing that they usually say. And you'd have that reflected back. You go, oh, I say that. And that's what that means. So it really, for me, it's a process of I almost think of it like a sculptor, where you take away all this crap that has been adhered to you all these years from all the things you've heard time, and say, well, nobody makes any money in those things. I don't know. It's they pay me something that's green and I spend it. It's
and I have a pretty good life.
Yeah. And it turned out even my husband didn't believe that that I got residual income, because our residual income is paid out after a number of years. We're paid in advance. We're paid an advance commission, and then residual comes later. And the day that I went to him and I said, see this on my genealogy? I said, this is money that came in. It was about $1,000 in one day. And I said, this money came in. And I said, nobody made a sale on my team, and I didn't make a sale, but the money came in. He said, oh my God, we really can retire. And I said, I keep been telling you that. Why didn't you believe me? He said, well, you sometimes exaggerate. And so even my own husband. But think about it. Think about the things that you hear that aren't true, and yet we take them on and we incorporate them in our lives. I grew up being told that women couldn't be successful. They just couldn't. And I was told by my father that
Wow.
women were not to be heard, they were to be quiet, just real negative stuff, and that they were stupid. So you
Wow.
grow up with those things, you think, well, I don't believe that. But your subconscious does. So you're learning to use things like affirmations, learning to have it reflected back to you. I mean, I learned my best lessons when people said really embarrassing things to me, like, shut up, Lorna. We're tired of hearing you complain.
Wow.
I had that said in a room full of my people that I was working with. And he was right. I mean, it was horrible. I wish he hadn't said it, but I really got the lesson. And so that's why I feel in the latter part of my life that I want to share just observations, just helping people stop with the crap. They're as Zig Ziglar says, they're stinking thinking.
Yes.
And start, and even when people know the answer, they go, I know I'm supposed to do this, and I know I'm supposed to do that, and I know this, and I'm particularly around network marketing, you'll hear a lot of personal development. But the challenge is hearing it in such a way that you'll change it.
Yeah.
And change can happen when you recognize it. So you can say it, you can even think it, you can write it, but until you own it, oftentimes you won't change.
I have been learning very powerful lesson that what your words are, what you speak is key to what you're bringing in. And I've been using that with my son quite often, because like he'll say, my English mark, I'll never get more than a 70 in my writing. And I'm like, of course you won't, because you're putting that out there. And he thinks I'm crazy right now, but someday he'll realize how powerful it is. And like before he goes into his basketball games, I'm like, what do you want out of this game? How many points do you want to get? Are you going to win or lose? Like trying to get him in the mindset and use the words that will bring about the results he wants.
Yeah.
But it's interesting for children because, they think you're crazy, like Mom.
Yeah. Well, it did. You said he's a teenager, so wait till he's about 22, 23. All of a sudden you'll become brilliant.
Again? Now he knows everything. He's 17. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. What does your day look like now, Lorna?
Oh, well, today was dealing with Google, but one of the things that I really believe is that network marketing gives us is the ability to design the day that works best for us. Some people work really well in the mornings. People work really well in the evenings. I think one of the best things I've ever heard about, and then I had this woman on to do an interview with her. She called it a power hour, where she got to the point where she knew exactly what she needed to do. She had her high payoff activities and she did them all in an hour. And I heard about her years before I actually was able to interview her. And it's actually, the whole interview is on my group. So if you, there's my husband yelling at the gardener. So if you want to go to my Facebook group, it's Women in Business from Start to Success. You'll see there an interview under, I think it's the guides. You'll see an interview with about the power hour, and it's powerful because what she says is it's not just, okay, I'm just going to block off this hour. She had a whole ritual about what she determined was her high payoff activities and how to approach them and what she did prior and after that.
That's pretty amazing. I think too many people, when they work from home or their own business, they don't do the work, but they expect the results.
Yeah. Yeah. Would they hire themselves if they were the boss? No. Yeah. And
Probably not.
yeah. And that's, I know the head of our company one time gave everybody a stopwatch and said, only push it when, to accumulate the minutes, only push it when you're doing activity that will make you money. And people came in and they had 3 minutes in a week,
Oh my
five,
goodness.
5 minutes in a week, an hour in a week. I mean, it was nobody, no, certainly nobody did 40 hours. No. So it's when you recognize that. Now, are there things like me with my Google problem right now? I have to take care of it because I can't operate my business without being able to get into Gmail and whatnot. And so there are things you have to look after. As women, we tend to have responsibilities in the household. So we have to do those things. So what's the answer to that? The answer is a balance. And if you know that, and if you can get to the point where you can actually run your business in a couple of hours a day, which you should be able to.
Wow.
You really should be able to run your business in a couple of hours a day. Then you organize your day so that you do it. Maybe you put a child in daycare during that time. Maybe you have a spouse looking after the child at that time. But it's really it's setting your priorities, because there are certain things, like maybe you'd like to have a big fancy birthday party for your child, but maybe it would be a good idea to put that effort and time into your business. So next year or the year after, and for every after. My favorite story in network marketing was a woman who got so busy when she started her business, she didn't have time to clean her house or make her bed. And a year into it, she never did again. She didn't have to.
She had someone do it for her.
Had somebody do it for her. So that's, those are the kinds of payoffs, which is, I mean, it's, speaking of somebody whose housekeeper went to Nicaragua and didn't come back, I had to clean my own house for 2 weeks, no, 4 weeks. I mean, I wasn't used to it.
It was dreadful.
Yeah, it was really dreadful. But that's the thing, is that you can find some fun things too to motivate you, to help you, because let's face it, Donna, it's not all fun and games. There is work. People don't get paid 6 figures for sitting around and twiddling their thumbs. They don't. But they do get paid 6 figures by having a plan and working that plan and being consistent. And those are the things that are critical to success. So I'll add those on to the other things: the decision, the commitment, the plan, the execution of that plan. Those are the strategies. And then most important is having a support system around you. And for the longest time, I didn't have a support system. I was, and I would never say this, and I don't believe it. I think I was stronger because I didn't have an upline that worked with me. Was I envious of people who did have? Absolutely. I absolutely did. And then I hung around with them and kind of pretended that their upline was my upline.
Exactly.
So there's no reason why people can't be successful based on other people. There are workarounds for all of that.
That's what I love in our company right now, is everybody helps everybody, no matter where you are. Even if you don't get paid for helping them, like, you can still reach out to them. And like, I just saw a friend of mine, Vernisha from St. Lucia. And I mean, we're like sisters from another mother. Yeah. And I've never, worked on her team or with her, but she coaches and trains and helps anyone in the company. And that's why I feel like this company I'm with, it's like family. Everybody loves and helps and accepts everyone. And I think for us who don't have a good family, it's kind of nice to have it.
Yeah, and that, people from the outside look at that and say, is that a cult? But really what it is being in a like-minded group of people who are supportive and who recognize that your success doesn't diminish my success. It's like Les Brown says, when you put on perfume, it fills the air with the aroma. And it doesn't matter whether it comes from me or comes from you, you still smell it. Or the flame, my lighting your candle doesn't diminish my candle and my candlelight. So it's that understanding. I think that if we had that understanding in the world as a whole, we would have a peaceful world. Mark Victor Hansen, who wrote the Chicken Soup for the Soul group of books, said that if there was network marketing everywhere, we wouldn't have wars because you might be killing your customers. So, for those people who are come in and hear people talking and it kind of you don't hear this. You don't get this from being with your neighbors or even with your family necessarily. So you hear these things and you go, well, this is kind of strange. No, it's not. It is people doing what people desire to do, which is be in community with each other, be supportive of each other. And I would say to people, if you've had a bad experience with a company, and I mean, it could be your company or my company, if you've had a bad experience, what you need to do is just pull back, take a look at the people around you. If you happen to have gotten on a team that it's kind of doing weird stuff, just align yourself. You don't have to physically align yourself, but just align yourself with other people, because those people do exist. I don't know a company that isn't supportive.
Well, did we get this kind of support and training when we were doing JOBs?
No.
Never. I have had so much personal development and growth, and it's from the network marketing companies that I've been in, and that's been my huge blessing, is just getting, growth all the time. You are not, I think in our company, the founder says, if you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah. Like you're not going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's your responsibility. If you're not feeling that, it's because you're not open to it. So again, make a decision. I'm all for people really try, understand what you're looking for, understand what's going to make a difference in your life. And may I mention my book, which they can get on?
Yeah.
You can get it on lornarasmussen.com. Don't go to Amway or Amazon because I haven't got it up there. But it's in both an ebook and a paperback. And you can get it at lornarasmussen.com. It's called The Absolute Best Way for Women to Make Money.
I was on your site and just saw that. So I'm going to have to get it. It looks like it's not a huge book, so it wouldn't take a long time to read.
Oh, no. I actually timed it. I'm a very slow reader, and it took me 2 hours.
Oh,
and
wow.
It's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's an enjoyable book because it's a story. It's not facts and figures, but those facts and those figures are there. And it's very helpful I would recommend that a team of people get the book and read it together, because there are lots of things in there that you can do as exercises and that you can explore together and kind of use it as I've been involved with some book clubs that use the book, who were in network marketing companies and had a book club in that. And they really got a lot out of the interactions and whatnot. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time, Lorna. It's been amazing. I love learning and listening to you. And I hope you get your Google working. Make your day just a little bit easier.
Yeah, that would be nice.
It's amazing what we depend on.
And you don't know until it doesn't work.
Until it crashes.
Yeah.
And now with the pandemic, people have just been so much social media because you couldn't meet people. So the whole industry, basically, in my opinion, has had to change and keep
Yep.
up.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they probably went under.
Yep, exactly.
So thank you for all the information. And hopefully people will check out your book and your website, because you are a wealth of information, and especially for women.
Yeah.
And that's my passion too. You know, being single divorced mom, you
Yeah.
have to take care of yourself. You do not have anyone else to depend on. And now my son's earning an income, but you know what? He doesn't want to share. So
Well, it really is a blessing. I mean, even if it's not right for you, don't hide it under a bushel, because you, or a bush, or wherever you hide lights, get the word out to people, because you never know. It was a lifesaver for us. We would have gone bankrupt and lost everything if I hadn't gone into network marketing. So I have nothing but good things to say. And for all the downsides of things and all the challenges and whatnot, well, we wouldn't be here in Costa Rica if it hadn't been for network marketing.
And it looks like a beautiful place.
It's fantastic. So go to Lorna Rasmussen with an N on the end, lornarasmussen.com. And, just the blog is free. And I think you listen to the blog a lot. Their
Yes,
videos
I
that
do.
put up every week. And, most of them have a gem in them somewhere. So if you listen to them, you'll hear something that'll could really change your life.
Yes, for sure. Okay, well, thank you very much. And you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Okay, world changers. Thanks for joining us. And wow, Lorna has had an amazing journey. And I have been blessed to be able to learn and work with her in another company. So I have experience directly with her. So thanks for joining us. And wow, I hope you got some nuggets out of it, because I sure did. Thanks to all world changers for joining us on my live today, Tuesday at 10. And I will try live streaming Tuesday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and join my growing community on World Changers with Donna on Facebook. Love to have you there. Want to be able to support women, and Lorna gave us some places to go for more information where we can get help and guidance for or from her. So thank you very much. Have a blessed day, and thanks for watching.